month in to the legislative session, can you summarize your work in each of your committees?
Yeah, so I am really grateful to be the Windsor County Senator. So I represent all the way up to Thetford, all the way down to Springfield, Weston, Cavendish, and then all the way around up to Bethel. And transportation issues are impacting every part of our county. We have folks who travel via car, electric car, bike, walk, take the train, take the bus. We don't have an airport other than the Springfield airport, but we have all sorts of ways that people travel on our roads and bridges. So being on the Transportation Committee felt like the right fit for me, especially since I'm from White River Junction, and we are the junction for all of those different kinds of transportation travel needs. So our committee looks at two big bills. The first is the DMV miscellaneous bill, and then the second is the T bill, which is the big bill when it comes to transportation funding. It's what does all of the budget for the transportation system in our state. And a lot of the work that we're doing right now, the way the Senate works is we get the DMV miscellaneous bill first, and then we pass it over to the House, and then the House works on the transportation bill, and then they pass it over to the Senate. So the transportation budget bill has not come over to us yet, so we're spending time in the DMV miscellaneous bill. There's a bunch of different sections that are more technical corrections, I would say, than they are policy changes. But one of the bills that I'm hoping we include in the DMV miscellaneous bill is a bill that I've sponsored called S66, and that is a road noise pollution prevention bill. So it looks at types of mufflers that Vermonters have on their vehicles and not modifying those mufflers to increase the sound. It looks at air braking technology and how can we limit the noise of air brakes, which are that kind of jackhammer noise you hear on the highway. And it also sets up a system for citizens to report noise and repeat offenses of loud noise. There's a lot of evidence that shows that noise pollution is actually a public health crisis in addition to just being annoying. It also impacts your ability to sleep. It can really impact children, and noise pollution has a much greater effect on low-income communities in our country than wealthier income counties in our communities. So that's why I support S66 and why I want it to be in the DMV bill. There's also another bill we're working on, S46, which is the bill that would get rid of the purchase and use tax on loggers' vehicles. So the forestry industry, big part of our economy, and they currently pay a purchase and use tax for certain vehicles and equipment that they use that I believe they should be exempted from to support that industry and help them make the transition to better, more efficient, lower carbon emissions equipment. Sometimes they hold on to those older, lower cost vehicles because of the tax. So to make them have the incentive and ability to switch over to higher efficiency, lower emissions, reduced air pollution vehicles, we need to give them some incentive. So those are the two bills within the DMV miscellaneous bill I'd like to see us add, and what we're spending a lot of time on here. So Senate government operations, we look at the whole gamut of municipal regulations. We look at charters. In this session, we've kind of gotten up to a slow start. We haven't taken a lot of bills up yet, but the pieces that we're chewing on right now relate to an executive order that restructured public safety. And whether or not that was something that the legislature should have done versus have it done by executive order. Interesting parallel to some of the federal conversations, but we also talk about what is legal for the executive branch to do compared to what the legislative branch is tasked with doing. And we want to understand if that was done appropriately. And then we've spent some time meeting with stakeholders. One group that has really stuck out to me this year is we heard from the Youth Council, who are the group of young folks who provide recommendations to us as a legislature, trying to frame up how do youth feel about a host of issues. So we heard from them and their desire to not have their commission sunset, meaning it wouldn't go away. And they came so passionate, so excited, and we had to explain to them that the sunset provision is not us saying that your committee is not valuable or that the work you're doing is not valuable and you should go away, but in fact it's built into statute to prevent committees that run their charge from just continuing in perpetuity in statute. So that was an interesting group to hear from because they came in with such a clear ask and desire for change, and we were able to answer their questions without changing any legislation. We do have some work that we need to do to support local media. So there has not been a bill introduced yet, but there's two topics when it comes to funding local journalism that we are going to take up in government operations. The first is to hopefully direct the marketing budgets of our state to support local journalism, not in the way that like pick the Valley News over the Boston Globe for advertising, but pick the Valley News over Meta and like ads on a website that is a third-party international company. That's where we're trying to transition to support Vermont journalists. And then the second is funding our local community news organizations like JAM, like you guys, like SAPA TV, to get an additional stream of revenue beyond the cable charge that is currently what funds you. So to add an additional fee on like Netflix, Hulu, those internet streaming organizations. You can email any elected leader by finding us on the legislative website. Just put in our names. My email is R for Rebecca. I go by Becca, but it's an R. So if you send it to B White, I'm not getting it. If you send it to R White, spelled like the color, at ledge.state.vt.us, it will get to me. My phone number is 802-777-4517, and I appreciate texts and calls, and as long as they're kind and considerate, I will read and respond.